Hello friends, welcome or welcome back to Get Ready with America. I'm SJ and I have over a decade of experience in and around political campaigns, so I'm here to make sure you're ready to vote this year. This week, we're talking Texas. On Saturday, May 1st, they will be holding a special congressional election, number 3 so far if you're keeping track. Several cities are electing mayors, but we'll just be looking at Fort Worth today. And finally, we'll talk about an interesting proposition up for a vote in Austin to reconfigure their local government. This week's makeup theme is honoring my birthday, so obviously, as an Aries, I will do a fiery look with the Zodiac palette by ColourPop and Kathleen lights that you can't get anymore, so sorry. Or should I do green since my birthday's tax day? Nah. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications so you know every time that I upload. Let's get started. Before we talk elections, I want to talk legislation, specifically legislation introduced by Republicans looking to end voter access expansion efforts in individual counties in recent years, most notably to increase participation during COVID-19. To put it bluntly, let's talk voter suppression. 49 bills, the highest number of any state, have been introduced in the Texas House and Senate, addressing voter registration, absentee voting, early voting, purging voter rolls, and voter ID, with one advancing so far. Senate Bill 7 limits extended early voting hours, prohibits drive-through voting, and makes it illegal for election officials to proactively send vote-by-mail applications to voters who qualified. This was recently passed in the Senate and is going to the House, and it's a bill that is backed by the governor, who likes to cherry-pick the individual freedoms the people of his state can exercise. Please keep wearing masks, people. Other proposed bills include things like uniform early voting hours across the state, which you think would be great, except that they're a much more narrow time frame than several counties have been doing, so ultimately not helpful. Something that thankfully didn't make it into a bill was a requirement to anyone requesting a vote-by-mail ballot to send a doctor's note to prove that they were truly unable to leave the house and go vote at a polling site. I'm working on a full video on current bills restricting voting access in several states, where I'll share more completely inappropriate requirements for a person to fulfill their right as a citizen of this country, so please look out for that in the near future. In the 6th Congressional District, voters will be replacing Rep. Ron Wright, who died from COVID-19 in February. The district covers the area south and southeast of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. They will be holding a jungle primary, which is similar to what they did in Louisiana, where all of the candidates, regardless of party, are on the same ballot, and someone needs to get 50% of the vote, or it goes to a runoff with the top 2 vote getters. Now, there are 23 candidates that will be on the May 1st ballot. 11 Republicans, 10 Democrats, 1 Libertarian, and 1 independent candidate. Recent polling has Republican Susan Wright in the lead, averaging about 20% of the vote, followed by Democrat Janelyn Sanchez with about 13% of the vote. However, 42% of voters are still undecided, so pretty sure that we're gonna go into a runoff. The district itself leans Republican, but the margin of victory for Republicans has narrowed significantly over the past 12 years. So maybe not this year, but within the decade, we actually might see this seat flip from red to blue. The thing to look at in this election and all future elections in the district is Arlington, which is in Tarrant County. That is what has the potential to make it competitive for Democrats. The turnout there, especially this year, will determine if a Democrat will even make it to the runoff for the seat. We're still waiting on the census results for the area, so it's really hard to really make predictions without full knowledge of the demographics of the area right now. I'll talk more at the end of this video about how to vote, but if you want some more information about candidates and about the 6th district, you can visit votetexas.gov, which I will link in the description box. Elsewhere in Tarrant County, Fort Worth has 10 candidates running for an open, nonpartisan mayor's seat. This is the most to run for the seat in a long while, since it's the first time that it will be open for a while. Incumbent Betsy Price decided not to run for a 6th term this year. Top notable candidates in this race are Maddie Parker, who is Mayor Price's chief of staff, and then Tarrant County Democratic Party Chairwoman Deborah Peoples, who ran for the seat 2 years ago. Now, one candidate needs to get 50% of the vote, or the top 2 vote getters will go to a runoff on June 5th. The hope is that a large pool of candidates will actually encourage a bigger voter turnout, which is traditionally pretty horrendous in Fort Worth due to long-standing distrust between communities of color in the city and the government entities. And in Austin, which is in Travis County, they are voting on Proposition F, which will change the form of city government from the council manager to strong mayor council, which will designate an elected mayor as the chief administrator and executive officer of the city, with veto power over all legislation, which includes the budget. A little background on the government structure in Austin, Texas. So formerly, all the council members were elected citywide, and at some point, everyone realized that this really disenfranchised minority communities within the city. So they changed it to be a 10-1 system, meaning that the city was broken into 10 wards, and there was one elected representative of each ward, and then the one mayor who was the sole person who was elected as citywide. But the mayor was given equal footing as the 10 council people, so they all have an equal vote. So in this structure, all city business is run by an unelected city manager who is basically kind of like the chief of staff of these 11 principals, and they are carrying out the business for the city. What the strong mayor council structure would do would move the mayor to having more power in order to set an agenda for their 4-year term. And it also gives voters an opportunity to hold someone accountable for that long-term vision. Right now, the person who is in charge of carrying out a long-term vision is unelected, so there really isn't much way for them to hold them accountable as much as when you are actually electing someone. So that is what Austin is looking to do this year, and I'd be really interested to see what ultimately comes out of that vote. There's also a proposition to arrest unhomed people from the campus that are just there. So that's cool too. Really, really excited to see what's going to happen in Austin this year. Okay, my favorite, how to vote. Voter registration closed on April 1st, but you can still apply for a vote by mail ballot if you qualify until April 20th. Early voting actually starts next Monday, April 19th, and will be open through Tuesday, April 27th. Times and locations are set by each county. And if the county has more than 110,000 voters, they have to have at least 1 week of early voting that is open for 12 hours every day. Otherwise, it's at the discretion of the county election board. So there are elections that are happening all across Texas. Highly recommend that you go to your individual county elections board website for more information about early voting times and locations, since it is going to wildly vary across the state. Texas is another state where you need an ID in order to vote. I actually have a link in the description box with a list of acceptable IDs for early voting and election day voting locations. All right, that's it. That's the look. That's the info. I have, as always, included links in the description box for the general Texas voting info site, as well as for Tarrant and Travis counties for the Fort Worth and Austin elections, respectively. As I mentioned before, there are a lot of places voting on things in Texas, so look up your county's Board of Elections site to find your sample ballot and voting location information. I'd like to give a special thanks to my friend Ian Rivera for sharing insights on the districts and races I talked about today, as well as the abundance of adorable baby content that he posts on the daily. Please like and share this video and subscribe to my channel. Also, if you are feeling so inclined, especially since it's my birthday, I started a Patreon to support this channel with the dream of paying someone who is better at making thumbnails than me. So please check that out and make a small monetary donation to this effort of making sure everyone votes. Shout out to my patrons and good friends Matt Wang and Margaret DeVico, who are already supporting. Thank you so, so much. Wishing a happy birthday and full vaccination status to me, and a very good week to all of you. I'll see you again soon.